Hey guys, and welcome back to the season finale of Candlelight Stroll. Here with your host, Vic Whateley.
And Marcus D. And come along with us, guys, as we head to one of the Midwest's top paranormal hotspots in Stull, Kansas. Nestled in northeastern Kansas rests one of America's top paranormal hotspots in Stull, Kansas. It was settled in the late 19th century by German settlers, and many of the descendants of the original settlers still reside in this very tight community. By 1859, the community had built the now infamous Evangelical Emmanuel Church. The church and adjacent cemetery would become the focal points in many of the modern myths surrounding the town. In 1903, after closing its post office, the town decided to adopt its now infamous name of Stull in honor of its beloved postmaster, Sylvester Stull. Throughout the early 20th century, the town would be plagued with economic struggles as business after business would fail in this ghost town. By the 1950s, rumors began circulating in the state that something far darker was lurking in the cemetery of Stull. Rumors of bizarre weather phenomena and even devil worship were soon spreading like wildfire throughout Kansas. This all culminated in a 1974 article about the town in a student newspaper at the University of Kansas. Soon droves and droves of paranormal investigators and thrill seekers flocked to the cemetery in hope of investigating the legends. The citizens of Stull over the years have tried to deter attention away from the cemetery. First in 1998 by removing a large tree steeped in its own folklore growing through a gravestone. Next in 2002, the famous Emmanuel Church was demolished by the owner. The official report was that the local police were concerned about its structural integrity, but others claim, however, that it was to cover up something far darker the town is trying to hide.
This area is filled with some of the most amazing and diverse lore I've ever heard of. From sightings of werewolves, to ghost lights, rumors of witches being hung in this area, almost everything you can find folded up here, and a lot of it comes with its own interesting tales. Like this first one comes from back when the church was still standing, and supposedly if you went around and counted the windows, which supposedly there were 7 of, if you counted 8 instead, that meant something tragic was going to happen in the area. On certain nights, it said that if you went out there, the church wouldn't look like an old ruin like it does now, that it would appear fully restored, or that, say, if you hucked a bottle at the back wall of the church, no matter how hard you threw it, it wouldn't break. The surrounding area of the cemetery, there's stories that you can hear occultic chanting. There's supposedly a ghost that haunts the area, and she's buried there next to her husband. But she haunts the area because she hates her husband and simply wants to escape him and wants to be removed from that plot. Going back to the church for a moment, supposedly even now with the roof missing, even in the biggest rain showers, the floor of the church doesn't get wet, almost as if the roof's still there. And then for the big stuff, this rumor that the devil created a child with a witch in the cemetery. Supposedly on Halloween night and the spring equinox, he comes there and he walks the grounds. The whole area is supposedly a portal to hell. There's rumors of there being this hidden entryway to the old basement of the church, and there's just this stairway and it goes down and down and down forever. And no matter how long you walk, you'll never reach the bottom. And every time you go down, if you count the stairs, you'll never get the same numbers when you come up. And there's even this rumor of this shape-shifting kid that was running around there back when the place was a formal town, that could change into birds and dogs and would attack the people in the town and eventually just had to be killed. Some people even tie this to being this literal son of Satan.
Alright guys, but let's be fair here. There are some myths surrounding Stull that are not true, and we need to be fair. So the first one being is that if you look up Stull, you're going to hear legends that originally the town was known as Skull, Kansas, which is not true. It was actually called Deer Creek Community before they adopted the name of Stull, Kansas after their postmaster.
Another one, and in all honesty, this one's very hard to confirm as being false, but I'm pretty sure this isn't a fact, is that the Pope won't fly over Stull, Kansas. Once again, I can't 100% confirm this to be a lie, but it certainly sounds like something that's made up. Although it's an interesting fact though, 666 is present at the beginning of the area's zip code.
And that's not even the strangest part of this story. One of the strangest aspects to the story of Stull is the strange response of the Stull community regarding the legend. Stull's famous for stories of people following your trucks when you're down there, or the police just taking you to jail for the night. Most people who look into the story state that townsfolk don't like the attention on the town. But the timing of most of the major events of the story are just almost beyond coincidence. In 1978 and 1988, there are two huge events at the cemetery to wait for the appearance of the alleged portal to hell. But the owners of the property make everyone leave about 30 minutes before midnight. In 1998, they removed the famous tree the day before Halloween. And in 2002, the church was mysteriously destroyed by the owners. And this occurred in March, the month of the spring equinox. These two huge centerpieces to the legend of Stull are both destroyed around the times of the alleged paranormal activity. And in our mind, if you're trying to not draw major attention to this place, of all the actions that are being done, this is the worst times to do it. How would anyone not think something isn't going on? And if you pay real close attention to the major events surrounding Stull, you'll even start to see a pattern with the dates. All the way back to even when the community moved churches in 1922, it follows a pattern of something occurring almost every 4 to 10 years. Now, why is this the case? Well, to answer that, it may start getting into parts of the story a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, there's a few parts of the story that aren't really commonly known. Like, for example, there's a second cemetery in Stull, sometimes referred to as Old Mound Cemetery, or more commonly just called Old Stull Cemetery. This is a very interesting graveyard that just a lot of people seem to have neglected to notice. One of the interesting things about it is that almost half the graves are of infants, many of them unnamed. Another interesting fact about it is there are these two trees standing there. Supposedly there used to be 5, forming the shape of a pentagram around the cemetery, and some people have even suggested that this cemetery might be the gateway to hell, not the one that we more popularly know. Another thing about this second cemetery is that supposedly the people who live around there are much more aggressive about people that they don't know showing up there. Another aspect of the story, and this may be more folklore or rumor than truth because we weren't able to locate it, supposedly Stull has a sister city somewhere below one of the lakes in the area. We weren't able to confirm its location, but there's definitely rumor of its existence. And according to some of the folklore, this other town had occult activity occurring within it. Unfortunately, that's about all we know about it though. Okay guys, I know this sounds like a really appealing area to go and investigate, but there's some complications to that. The locals, they really don't seem to like investigators being around there. We hear a lot of stories about people being followed and even harassed by the locals. I've heard several stories from investigators who went out there and even just driving by there, being pulled over and brought in for 24 hours of suspicion. And also, I've heard that they'll prosecute if they catch you on the property, so if you do choose to look into this, try to get the proper permission and, well, be careful.
Also when you guys go out there, guys, you need to be careful because the cemetery is very prone to vandalism. When you look at the history of the cemetery, there's over 13 broken headstones that are in the cemetery, and the cemetery has reported that there are 11 missing. If you choose to investigate this location, make sure you're respectful when you go out there. Okay, these are people's loved ones that are buried out there, and many of the people that are buried there have descendants still living in the community to this day. In conclusion, guys, the story of Stull is a very divisive one with people on both sides of the aisle on what to think about this place.
I don't think that this story is purely born out of internet hype coming from the early 90s and late 2000s. Yeah, it was a big story back then, but it's been a persistent fixture since then. I think the only way that that's continuing is because there's something actually strange going on out there. I think that there are real paranormal events occurring around this cemetery, and only some of them are probably getting to us. It's hard to create a full picture of exactly what's happening, but I definitely think something's going on. I think there's particularly occultic activity. People there seem to be acting very, very strangely if they're just trying to keep to themselves. Beyond that, I just kind of have a feeling about this place, that there's something going on there, even almost like I'm missing part of the picture of what's happening here. Am I saying that definitely the devil had a child there? Well, that part I don't know. but I think there is something that happened there. I think it was likely big and it left a stain on this area. Something that deserves further investigation, although that's something that's complicated to do.
For me, I'm hung up on the timeline of the events and how they're really just, it's too much to be a coincidence for me. You know, you're having these actions that the people that own the property are taking at some of the worst opportune times to just sort of feed the fervor of the story of Stull. And to me, even though they're saying, oh, there's nothing going on here, but you do these things, this is just drawing attention to the right hand. And in my perspective, if you're looking at the right hand, you don't know what the left hand is doing. For me, I think there needs to be more investigation into the idea of there being this sister city to Stull. And this idea of the second cemetery where everybody seems to be more agitated when you seem to start looking at it. I think this is the place that may have the real information we need.
Okay, so Marcus, now that we've done a lot of looking into this, if you could look into any part of this whole Stull, Kansas situation, what would you want to personally examine?
I want to look at the Twin City of Stull theory to see maybe if there's something more likely going on there. Because this is a different group of people that may be living in the area with very different motives. I think maybe they were possibly moved, maybe they moved into this area, maybe they're still living in this area, maybe they live in the surrounding areas, who knows, I don't know. But I think that's what I want to look into.
Me, if I could, ever since I first heard this story, I've been obsessed with this idea of this hidden basement below the church with this stairwell that just spirals down infinitely, that if you go down and you count the stairs, you won't get the same number coming back up. Someplace where the laws of physics don't work properly. That just grabs a hold of me. I'd love to check it out.
And at the end of the day, guys, this story is still going to be divisive. So let us know what you guys think about Stull in the comments below.
Hey guys, and thank you for checking out our season finale, Candlelight Strolls, Stull, Kansas. This is what I've been pushing Marcus for us to do for a really long time.
And I was really happy to look at it. I mean, this was just such a really cool paranormal hotspot. It's like the mecca of paranormal hotspots in the Midwest and almost in America.
Yeah, so many people have remarked on this, so many people have commented on this, and if you notice, it even gets like a shout out in the show Supernatural.
And guys, this is the end of season 2, but we've got a season 3 to prepare for. So if you guys have an idea of something paranormal in the Midwest that you guys want to see in season 3, put it in the comments below. Your guys' comments is going to heavily influence what we look at doing into season 3.
And of course, if you enjoyed it, like, share, and subscribe.
But don't forget, keep believing.
Because we'll keep listening.